Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB The Show 24. So, in last episode, we started up year number 12, and we're off to our best start yet. As you can see so far, right near the draft, we are 50 and 35, so we have a realistic chance that we could be a playoff team by the end of the season, which is pretty damn exciting. However, our contact skill has still not been very evident. We do have some good power and really good pitching. But I don't really know if it's enough for us to necessarily go on a good playoff run. However, if we do make the playoffs, it would be nice just because obviously this team hasn't obviously been in the playoffs so far, but we are definitely on pace for a potential playoff berth. As you can see, last year we had 74 wins, and the year before that 63, year before that 48, year before 27, and only 7 the year before that. And we're already at 50 wins through our first 85 games of this season. So there is a chance that we could get into the higher 80 range or even in the 90 plus win range, which is awesome. So hopefully the team can maintain its current course, because obviously it would be kind of dreadful if we fell apart in the second half of the season. And hopefully we have a good draft class ahead of us as well, because there is some intriguing prospects in this year's drafts, and I'm hoping that obviously we build up a good amount of prospects still, for that way if our team starts to lose players on our roster, that we have guys that can replace them. So Ed Tachiki is the guy we're definitely going to be looking at for the 8th overall selection this year. Hopefully he falls to that spot, because I think it's kind of a toss-up if he will, because our scouts have him ranked at number 2. Meanwhile, the MLB has him ranked at number 10, so based on that, he could go between 2 and 10, so I am a little bit scared that he might go before our pick, because if he does go before our pick, there's not really anybody intel quite later on. I believe the next was the starting pitcher, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember who was next. I think there was like some starting pitchers that would be around the next part of it, so we aren't going to be able to get ourselves a good player if for some reason Tachiki goes off the board, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, if he goes early, it does make sense, but I don't know if there's any other better players out there that the other teams will go with, because like Brian Cho might end up having to be one of our next selections. Like, he's not a high potential guy, but at least he's a good solid overall to start, and he should be able to develop into be potential kind of guy. But obviously to take him at 8th overall would kind of suck via instead of a guy that's probably got A potential and all that stuff. Like, Tachiki looks really good. I think, though, that like some of these other guys like Acosta could go earlier. Then again, he is a closer, and you don't usually see closers going super high up. So maybe somebody like Alonso Lugo will go early, Ross Cruz, these type of guys. So I'm hoping that way we get our guy at number 8, because if Tachiki falls to 8, that would be perfect, because obviously with Yamazaki getting older, with Nomo getting a little bit older too, we need definitely catchers of the future, and Ed Tachiki would definitely be that type of guy. But anyways, before we get into the year 12 draft and simulating more of the season, let's get in your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into the year 12 draft. Also, just a heads up, by the time you guys are seeing this episode, the next 3 episodes will likely be pre-recorded, as I will be on my vacation, so just a little heads up on that front. So the first 2 comments are from Nick Bucker Barons OC. The first one says, I would say Tachiki is a coin flip if he falls or not. And I totally agree. I think it's definitely a little bit of a coin flip if he will actually fall to us. I really hope he does, but at the same time, I could see him obviously going at like maybe even 1st overall, maybe 2nd overall, maybe he goes 5th overall. But if he falls to 8, we will be quite lucky, because even if he's like a 80 something potential, he's going to have a good starting overall. Like, his overall range is either a 59, which is pretty solid for an 18-year-old still. 74 overall at 18 would be amazing, but I don't know if he's actually going to be that high or not. I feel like he could be like in the middle of those 2 ranges, so maybe like a 67 or something like that, with like 87 and 88 potential. I don't know if he's going to be a high A potential guy, but if he is, that would be even better. Nick also says, please send down William A. Bayek to double A's. So that's what we're going to do, is send down William A. Bayek. He has been kind of struggling in triple A at the moment. So we are going to send him down, and then we'll probably move Chang Ho Chu up to being the shortstop, because he's actually been pretty solid in double A. Like, his batting average is still low. His home run count is a little bit low, but might as well give Chang Ho Chu a chance in triple A for a little bit, while William A. Bayek is kind of just like on a little bit of a a demotion in a sense, and maybe he'll actually start playing good in Double A and get his confidence back for Triple A. Because right now that 200 average is not too good. He might be a 76 overall, but he just has not been that type of player yet. He is already 24 years old as well, so he is getting close to making it to the majors. But we need to definitely get his hitting department quite a bit better. He is a good fielder, but he doesn't do good in terms of the offense, it seems like. So let's move him down to Double A. And then we will move Chang Ho Chu up to Triple to replace him, basically, just for the time being. And let's just make sure the lineup is set up properly, so those guys are in the right spots. Because obviously we do not want them just to sit on the bench, because that would not be good. And we'll see if that ends up helping those guys' confidence a bit. Now, William A. Bayek and B. Bayek are on the same team, which is kind of funny. Do they look the same? No, they don't. They don't have the exact same face, but that's okay. Still kind of funny that they're both playing on the exact same team. So go with that and see if that ends up helping their confidence in terms of playing a little bit better for both of them. Because even Chang Ho Chu, I mean, his stats were solid by comparison to A. Bayek's, but maybe that gives Chang Ho Chu a little bit of confidence going forward. And the last and final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, I certainly hope I'm wrong. If you do make the playoffs, what would you do? Shall we slow sim or jump in and watch CPU for CPU? So he's hoping that obviously that is wrong, because he gave a prediction that we weren't going to make the playoffs. And for us to make the playoffs, obviously he's hoping that he's wrong on that front. But he's asking what we're going to do in terms of the playoffs. So if you guys followed my MLB series I did last year with the Vancouver Rain, basically we're going to do the exact same type of thing. So we will jump into the thing where you basically get to decide on hitting, bunting, all that stuff, like whatever the heck they call that simulation mode. And then we're basically going to jump into crucial parts of the game. Like if we're down by a couple runs or something, or we're up tied in a couple runs in the 9th inning, and we want to watch a part of a playoff game, maybe we'll do that. And it will be AI versus AI. Obviously, I'm not going to be playing it, but just so you guys kind of understand how we're going to work the playoffs if we do get there, because there is a chance we can't get there, because you can see we're 3.5 games up on the Astros right now for first place in the AL West, and we are currently, I believe, like, was the 3rd best team in the entire MLB, if I'm not mistaken. I want to double check on that. If we go to win percentage, yeah, we're the 3rd best team in the entire league, only behind the Guardians and the Rockies at the moment. So it's pretty impressive what this team's been able to do this season compared to, like, only 5 years ago, we only won 7 games. That's kind of insane to go from 7 wins to being a team that could be in the playoffs within a 5-year span. So our window of opportunity is starting to open up for us, which is awesome. So anyways, there is that. And I think in terms of scouting, yeah, we'll definitely keep these guys. Actually, do I want Richie Chen on there? I think that's the guy I was thinking actually of taking. Yeah, this is the guy I'm thinking of taking if Tachiki goes off the board. I was looking for him. He could be probably a solid pitcher. We do need more pitcher prospects, so I think Richie Chen would be the guy to go with if for some reason Tachiki goes a little bit early. We also discovered Yamaguchi, so I might as well get him scouted out a little bit, and we'll probably keep that for the next week. Actually, should I take off Chen now? He does have a lot of interest already. Maybe I'll take it off the discovery, because there's not a lot of point to discovering at this point. So let's just get some interest higher on guys like Tachiki and all that, because obviously Tachiki is probably the top pick that we would go with, and then would be Richie Chen if he's there. So it's important to get those guys' interest higher, obviously, so we could sign them with not a lot of problems. So I think that is good. Let's simulate a week and see what happens. See if this team is able to still win some games, because we are approaching the All-Star break as well. So maybe we'll have some All-Star representation this year, or quite a bit of All-Star representation, I feel like, because there's been a lot of good players, especially in the pitching rotation. So let's go to end this week, see how we do. We got a game against Kansas City, then we got 3 games against Toronto, and 2 games to end the week, or actually 3 games technically to end the week, I guess, against Tampa Bay. So let's see how we do. First game, 5-0 win. That's a nice way to start this episode. Let's get Kenny Rabu back in for, I think it was AAA. I believe it was AAA, right? Or is it double? It's double. No, it's triple. Okay, never mind. He's already right back in the right spot. That's good. That's good. But a nice little shutout win to start this episode. 5-0 over Kansas City. Was it a no-hitter? Probably not. Where is our box score? Wait, did I click the wrong thing? Oh, organizations games. There you go. We only gave up 3 hits in that game. Nice. So that's a pretty good pitching game from Parker Iwamura. Was it a full 9-inning performance? No, it was 7 innings and then Yamamoto closed it down. Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. This team's still cooking, because we are on a pretty good stretch as of late. As you can see, we've won our last, I guess that's now our last 7 games, and we've won 10 of our last 12 too. So team is doing good, and we also do still have to do September call-ups in the next episode, so that's going to be intriguing. But like I said, the next few episodes are going to be pre-recorded, so just because I'm on vacation. 3 straight losses, that's not good. And David Sasaki has been injured with a dislocated shoulder, so that's our first major injury to a player that's actually on our roster, so that's not good. Let me go auto on that and adjust it. So we lost 3 games in a row, but then we won 1, which is nice. But David Sasaki getting injured really sucks. I will take a look at his stats so you guys can take a look at his season stats, because he's not going to return probably the season now based on that. Sasaki was playing what base was he playing? Shortstop? No, he's not shortstop. He's an outfielder, that's right. So we need a center fielder in, which I mean gives a chance to William Chung, who's actually been pretty good off the bench. So I'm okay with that, but obviously it would have been nicer to have still a clean bill of health on the season, but that's all right. But let me show you guys, what was I going to show you guys again? Oh yeah, the stats from Sasaki, because his season is probably done, and I don't think he returns for the playoffs based on that, but he could. There's a chance on that. But David Sasaki, let's take a look at his stats. 79 up at 26, yeah, that's a pretty big loss. Dislocated shoulder for him. He was having 13 home runs, so he was probably on pace for his best home run season yet. His RBI count's a little bit low, average is a little bit low too. Like, he wasn't one of our most insane players, but he was doing relatively well this year, and it sucks to see him go down for 2 to 3 months. Considering he's getting paid 5.8 as well, it kind of sucks on that front. All right, let's get through our last game of the week. It's a 1-0 loss, so we lost 4 of our last 5 games. That's not ideal. So we are going to maybe slide a little bit in the standings. Yeah, there's only 2.5 games up on the Astros now, so we got to be a little bit careful that we could still fall off a bit and miss the playoffs. Can we get back to the scouting stuff? Yes, we can. Okay. So Tachiki's interest is going up still. Chen's as well. Yamaguchi so far is looking pretty bad. I actually might move Yamaguchi to the 3rd instead, because that way Tachiki's interest goes up by a lot more. So I think that's what we'll do for this final week of scouting before the actual draft. All right, let's continue to simulate, see if we could get our games back to winning again, because if we have weeks like that throughout the rest of the season, we could definitely fall off quite a bit in terms of our standings. So let's see what we got. We got a game against Tampa. We got 2 more against the Dodgers, and then we got 3 at least this week against Houston. One's also on the 15th, but those games against Houston are going to be interesting to dictate who ends up leading the series, or the season, not the series, the AL West. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's go to the end of it, see what ends up happening. Game against Tampa is a loss. Ooh, we're having a bit of a rough week again. Yep, we lost almost every game that week. So the team is kind of going through a little bit of a tough time here before the draft, which is not great. But let's get some players onto our board here for the draft, since we're already up at that front. So Richie Chen would be our next selection if we can't get that catcher. We want to make sure we have everybody that we can draft on our board. Hopefully there's a good amount of players still in the draft, because if there's not, we might have to forfeit technically some of our selections, which kind of sucks. Let's see. I know there was the other starting pitcher here. There you go, Brian Cho. So there's 3 so far. There's, I believe, a couple others still too, but I don't remember who. Oh, Douglas Takahashi. Yeah, he's another guy that I could take in a different round. We at least should be able to get some more starting pitchers for our prospect pool, which is good, but in terms of everything else, I'm not too sure on. David Koo at catcher, he looks like he could be solid too, so he's alright. But he's not as good, obviously, as the Tachiki. I hope I could get Tachiki, because that would be good. Alright, that might be it almost for prospects that we can actually add to our list here. There might be a couple other ones. Oh, yeah, there's Connor Fong still. Connor Fong's still another interesting one, kind of. He does have a low overall, but at least he might have some potential, and we do need outfielders, so he might end up being somebody I take late. But not a lot of prospects for us to take this year. There's only 6 of them, which means we got to hope that they're all available when we get to our selections, because if they're not, there is a chance that we might not have enough players to draft this year, which kind of sucks. But let's go to draft. We have the 8th overall selection. I can't remember who's number 1. If I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah, it's Texas, right? Yeah, Texas, San Francisco, San Diego, Boston, Seattle, Minnesota, and the Dodgers are before us. Will Tachiki fall? Will Tachiki fall? Oh man, I wish we were drafting like higher up again. Like if we were a top 3 selection, that would be nice this year. But drafting this late kind of sucks. And this upcoming year again, like next season, we're likely going to be drafting even later than 8th overall if we keep on our current pace. So let's start up the draft and hope that Ed is still on the board at number 8. If not, we'll go with Richie Chen with our first pick. But first overall, Enos Duff going to Texas. Enos Duff. He's a starting pitcher. No idea how good this guy's going to be, but he goes first overall. He was projected to go quite high. The second overall selection, Alonso Lugo. One of the guys I was expecting to go a little bit early. So there is Alonso Lugo, a right fielder. Nice little pickup maybe for the Giants. And number 3 overall. Oh no, that might be Tachiki. Yep, it was. I knew it. I knew it. I saw his hair and the outline, and I was like, I knew that's Tachiki. God damn it. The Padres have taken the guy we wanted. Well, that sucks. That sucks a lot. Hopefully he's a bust, but I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he's going to be an absolute beast. So the Padres stealing us our good player, but at least we'll get our starting pitcher, hopefully. If not, this is going to be a really bad draft for our team. If like Richie Chen goes off the board earlier. Man, Ed Tachiki, I really wanted you, man. Don't sign with them and then become a draft pick again next year, because that would be amazing. Darren Gonzalez is the 4th overall selection, another starting pitcher going to the Red Sox. Todd Seidlinker, interesting name, going to the Mariners. The Twins at 6 will take who? Dino Aquino. That's a cool name. Starting pitcher as well. And then the Dodgers at number 7 are going to select Stefan Castaneda. I thought that's Casada at first. Castaneda as a first baseman. All right, so Richie Chen is going to be our first selection. At least we're probably getting ourselves a good pitcher for the future, but I was really hoping for Tachiki, but Richie Chen will be our selection here. So welcome aboard to Richie Chen. Hopefully he's a decent pitcher at least. And then hopefully the rest of these guys are on the board still when we get to our next selections, but we'll take a look at the rest of the first round still like we normally do. Just because why not? And then we'll probably get through the rest of this draft quite quickly, considering the rest of these guys are the other guys will hopefully be able to take. Mitch Haley going to the Kansas City Royals as second baseman. He is the first second baseman of this first round. Leo Cosmo going to Tampa. That's the second first baseman to go. So maybe some good first baseman in this draft based on that. The Orioles at 11 are going to take Corey Sandoval, who is a right fielder. So another right fielder going in this draft, which is kind of nice considering Canna Fong is a right fielder as well. Freddie Caruth, a starting pitcher, going to the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay. Still a lot of pitchers going on early, which always seems to happen though. Christopher Hanley, another starting pitcher, going to the Cubs. What are Washington and Cincinnati going to go with in the first round? Washington's going to take another, not another starting pitcher, another second baseman. So, yeah, good chunk of second baseman in this first round. Tyson Saucedo. Okay. And then there's another right fielder, and Everett Meredith going to the Reds. All right, Marlins are on the clock. I know you guys can't see them, but they're below my head. And they go with Jacob Rubio, who is a starting pitcher. So shout out to Jacob Rubio. The Pirates are next on the clock, and then it's the Yankees. You guys can actually see the rest of that. The Pirates go with Henry Sosa, who's a catcher. So there is the first catcher to go off the board since Ed Tachiki. The New York Yankees at 18 take James Jackson, another first baseman. Yeah, there's a good chunk of first baseman in this first round. Same with the second base and right field. So those areas might be a little bit more prominent than others. Also catchers too, I guess. Frank Muser is the third catcher to go in the first round. Kind of wish Tachiki fell to us, man. If only we would have had an earlier selection. Dan Rivas going to Colorado, starting pitcher. They're one of the best teams in the league right now, too, so hopefully he's not that good, or else that's going to make that team even better. Guillermo Tejada, starting pitcher, going to the Guardians. The Braves are at 22. What are they going to select? Another starting pitcher, Daniel Vizcaino. All right, who's currently injured, but who cares about injuries? New York Mets at 23 select Felix Nava, the first shortstop of this first round. Okay. It'll be interesting to see if he's good. Our scouts, even at 5% scouted, see that he could be really low overall. So who knows? Toronto takes Derek Miley. I almost said Dominic Miley. Derek Miley, the third baseman. So that is the first third baseman, I think, of this first round. Jeff Gaudio, another starting pitcher, going to the Angels. And then you have the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals, the White Sox, the Brewers, and Houston. Diamondbacks take Shane Lane, because this guy has to have a name that rhymes. Second baseman. Good old Shane Lane. Cardinals take Derek Lopez. And who spells Derek like that, though, to be honest? That's like one of the weirdest spellings of Derek I've seen. It's more like Dark. The White Sox at 28 to take Brian Cho. No, Brian Cho went off the board, which means we're down to 3 prospects left on our list. Why did Brian Cho go in the first round? Oh, man, that sucks. Bob Park goes. Obviously, he's not an Asian guy, but he has an Asian last name, but I would not have taken him anyways. And then Houston at 30. Our rivals, kind of. Nixon Hamill is the last pick. All right. Well, let's simulate to our next pick, and we have a competitive round balance pick here, so I guess we're going with Douglas Takahashi here. But, yeah, we're not going to be able to get a lot of prospects in this draft based on that. So welcome aboard to Douglas. He's not going to be necessarily the best player in the world. He could be a decent player, but we had to take him quite a bit early. And then we also have our early second round pick here. We'll go with David Koo, I guess, and then Connor Fong will be our last selection. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of picks where we can't actually use, which kind of sucks. Conifong's still on the board. We'll go with Conifong here. And that is our draft because there's nobody else, I believe, that we could take. Let me just double check on that. But I don't think there's anybody else I could actually draft here. If there is, I'd be kind of, like, annoyed. Just because I might have actually forgot about people. Is there anybody else that's not the Asian Darren Hoffman? Trying to make sure that I'm not missing out anybody here. Oh, Stuart Chow. Okay, so there is Stuart Chow that we could go after. Let's just add him to our draft queue. Is there anybody else? I don't know how I missed Stuart Chow. I didn't even scout out him at all, though. So I don't even know how good he is. Oh my goodness, why does it keep scrolling back? Probably because people are getting selected. Is he the only one that I could have added to this thing? So I guess there was 7 Asians, not 6. Oh, I went all the way back in. That's fine. Okay. So Stuart Chow's the only other one we could select here. So we'll probably take him if he's available with our next selection. So I guess I didn't need to go with Canifong and stuff so early, but oh well. Let's enter our next pick, and Stuart Chow is still available, so Stuart Chow will be our other selection here. And that is our draft, because there's nobody else that we could take. So that means Gil Medina, Ozzy Acosta are not going to be signed. Everybody else can be signed, though, which is good. But yeah, our team is really struggling here as of late, and that's definitely going to hurt our playoff chances because we've only won 3 games out of our last 2 weeks, which is not good after the winning streak kind of that we had. Yeah, the Astros are now tied with us for first place in our division. The Rangers are starting to catch up too. So our team needs to start cooking a little bit more. And we do win that game, so that's good. That is good. Home run derby. Do we have anybody in this? Probably not, right? Because we're not really hitting a lot of home runs, I don't think. No. So it's Riley Green, Gunnar Henderson, Lewis Hamilton. Or yeah, I remember this guy in the draft because we were joking about the F1 driver. Nolan Schnauel, or I don't know how to pronounce that. MJ Melendez, OJ, or not OJ, what am I saying? O'Neal Cruz, Colt Keith, and Jackson Holiday are the home run derby contestants. In terms of people that made the All-Star game, how much representation do we have at the All-Star game this season? So I feel like we should have a good chunk of All-Stars, but I honestly have no idea. So let's see who made the All-Star game for your Tropic Turtles. So in terms of starting pitchers, Kazuhito Hayashi has made the All-Star game. Obviously that makes sense based on how good he's been playing. Parker Iwamura has also made it, so we have 2 starting pitchers. That's not our Chung, I believe. Yeah, that's the other Chung. So 2 starting pitchers. Nice to see that. And in terms of batting, Kevin Sato has made it. So that's a 3rd representative. Charles Nomo has also made it. So that's a 4th representative on our team. And that is it, I think. Yep, that is it. So we have 4 representatives at the All-Star game this season. So that's the most All-Stars we've ever had. So that's really cool. Hopefully, Charles Nomo could win All-Star game MVP again or something. Let's see. Simulate through that and see if anybody on our team won a All-Star MVP. So we got to look at Parker, who has now made 1 All-Star game. That was his first ever All-Star game. That's kind of insane. Didn't win the MVP. And then we also had Kazuhiro Hayashi make it. He was there. That was his first time, but no All-Star MVP. And then we had Kevin Sato make it for the third time. He's been probably one of our most consistent guys. And then who was the other one that I said? It was Nomo. Did Nomo win another All-Star Game MVP? Probably not, right? No, he was not. Okay, that's okay. His batting average is quite improved, Charles Nomo. Actually, it's above a 250, so I'm rather impressed with Nomo as of late. Alright, so we should be able to sign our draft picks relatively soon. I think it's still glitched out because I probably can't offer them contracts yet, right? Oh, I can already. Okay, that's good. Let's get Richie Chen signed up. And he already signs. Love to see that, considering he was our high-up pick. Douglas Takahashi, we got to get him on there. Stuart Chow, David Koo. A lot of these guys don't have the most interest in the world right now. Koo's already accepted, though, too. That's nice. Maybe it's because we're actually a good team that people want to sign with us. And Kana Fong, let's get you up here, too. Perfect. So that's 3 guys already signed. And we just need to get Takahashi and Chow signed, and then we are already good. So that's awesome. All right. Let's already advance a few days. Auto on that. Sign this stuff up. Can't sign those guys yet. We got to wait another day or 2. That's okay. 2 games against Texas. We win them both. Nice. Okay, now we're starting to play good again. That's good to see. Because obviously if we were still losing games, it would be kind of bad for the playoff chances. Both of them are above 50%. Let's see if I could sign them. Takahashi already accepts on less than 60% even. And Chow, 71% is already accepted. So we already got all our guys signed, which means now we can actually already simulate to what they look like, which is nice. But I do want to take a look, obviously, at how the rest of the season is still going. So it said 10 days out, so we could go another week without even really paying attention to anything else other than the scores. So do we sweep Texas, which would be huge considering they're in our division. Yamashita has been injured, which kind of sucks. It's only for a few days, though. With the bruised ribs, he should be back relatively soon, which he already is. We lose 2 games in a row. That's not good. No. Games against Houston, we lose them both too. Let me stop the sim for a second here. Oh, we fell to 2nd place in the AL West. That's not good. We're definitely on quite a slide here as of late. We're 2 games back of the Astros. And then the Rangers are kind of close to us too. There's a chance we could definitely still fall off quite a bit in the AL West, which is kind of concerning. But I am going to have to pre-record the next episodes after this as well, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. We do win 2 games to end the week, though, at least. After that 4-game losing streak. We're 2.5 games back now. So, yeah, the Astros still playing good. They obviously won the World Series last year, so I don't expect necessarily to win the AL West. Wildcard is where I'm trying to aim to at least get into. We should have a couple more days before we see our prospects, I believe. Right? How much more days? Yeah, 2 more days. Or 3 more days, technically, I guess. Last 2 games against Baltimore of this simulation, potentially. We win 1. And do we win the other? No, we do not. We have fallen down to 59-50, which does not look as good as our record at the beginning of this episode for sure, because I think we were like 50-35. Yikes. 3 games back at the Astros. How is the wild card race going right now? I'm curious on that. We are still in a wild card spot, which is good, but obviously it's going to be a tight race to the finish. The Rays and Yankees are the other teams that are trying to get into that wild card as well. Wow, okay. Yeah, we got to be careful here. We don't want to fall off too much. And I think we got to sim 1 more day, right? Yeah, 1 more day. Which means maybe 1 more game. Yeah, 1 more game against Baltimore. Can we win it? They should be able to win. Yes, they can. Okay, good. All right, so now we can take a look at our prospects. We do also have some big contract extensions this offseason, which I am kind of scared about because I'm going to have to likely pre-record that episode where I'm going to have to give all these guys contract extensions. The good thing is a lot of these guys aren't free agents for still a while, but there's some pretty big contracts. Yikes. All right, well, the draft. How good did we do? How good also was Tachiki in San Diego? Because he was the main one that we lost. There was also that other pitcher. But how good is Richie Chen with the 8th overall selection? He's good. He's good. That's exactly what I was hoping for with Richie Chen. At 65 at 18 is fantastic. Beat potential is also good. So there we go. We actually have a pitcher that could replace one of our guys if we lose one to retirement or to free agency down the road. So yeah, Richie Chen might be a AAA player early next season. I might honestly start him in Double A though, because his walks per 9 is pretty dreadful. So obviously that's an area of focus for sure on him. That's like his only weakness we get really, and also his reaction's not very good too, but that's not too important. Does have some contact hitting against lefties, which is kind of interesting, but he can't be a two-way pitcher really. All right, our next selection, Douglas Takahashi, also has a good starting overall, better than I expected. 65 at 18 as well, so the exact same overall as Richie Chen. However, he does have one potential less. C potential still way much better than D potential. He's going to be decent too, because he doesn't really have as much of a weakness. His fielding, I guess, technically, but if you look at his pitching, it's not as bad in terms of walks per 9 as Chen's is. So I like it. Douglas Takahashi's a good solid pick. So I'd say our picks so far have been pretty good. Obviously, it could have been better if we would have got Tachiki, but it is what it is. Our next selection, David Kuz at 55 at 21, which is kind of low for 21-year-olds. But it does give us a player of use for catcher, which is good. He has C potential. He could also play outfield. Has contact hitting versus lefties is decent. So maybe he could develop into being something. His vision is decent. Yeah, I think he could be okay. He's also got a pretty good arm for a catcher, so some good defensive plays as well. I don't mind it, but it's not the best selection for sure. And in our next pick, Kana Fong is quite low for a 21-year-old, 49. He does have B potential, so he does have the potential to become something, but it's definitely going to be quite a while before he makes it. Being a 49 at 21, he's probably going to be like not even a 70-something by the time he's like 27, my guess. I don't know. It depends on his development, but he can play the outfield at least, which is an area of need. So at least it addresses something that we need to get. So I don't mind Kana Fong too much, but obviously was hoping for a higher overall, being 21 already. And in our next selection was Stuart Chow, who we only found in this draft. He was a 64 at 21, so good starting overall. A little bit low for a 21-year-old maybe, but he does have C potential. His hits per 9 are pretty good. He could develop definitely into being an everyday starting pitcher for either AAA or maybe in the bottom of our rotations. So I don't mind that selection too. So in general, I'd say we had a pretty good draft. For what we had offered to us, I'd say we did good. Obviously, Tachiki would have made us even better, but like when you have Chen, who has 83 potential, it's not the highest potential in the world, but he could definitely outgrow it. Takahashi has 71 potential, Ku has 77, Kana Fong 81 potential, and Stuart Chow 73 potential. So we didn't actually have anybody that was in the D potential range this year, which is awesome. So I would say it was an okay draft, all things considered. Now let's take a look at the rest of the league in terms of what they drafted and see how good they were. So Nate Turnwall is a pretty good solid starting pitcher prospect. He is a little bit of a lower overall for a 21-year-old, but he's got a good ceiling. What else we got here? Eno Stuff, who went first overall. That's a bit of a woof from the Rangers. 69 at 21 is a good starting overall, but 79 potential only. He's going to be still useful. But obviously for a first overall pick, you're definitely hoping for much better than that. What else did they get? Rob Jones, a little bit low for a 22-year-old. Does have a good ceiling, though. The Braves, Seamus Horgan, a little bit low as well. 68 for this guy's pretty good, though. Dean Douglas. The Marlins, Jacob Rubio is solid. 63 at 18 is good. 86 potential. That's one of the better ones so far. Tim Kim is also not bad. Looks like the Marlins had one of the better drafts so far that we've seen. So there's that. The Mets, Felix Nava is really good. 56 at 18, 95 potential. He was the only shortstop that went in the first round. So shout out to the Mets, who got a good steal. Obviously, he's more of a project guy, but he's going to be really good. Ray Mack is also not too bad. Another shortstop as well, of course. So I guess they were just targeting shortstops. The Phillies, Freddie Caruth. It's pretty good. 59 at 18, 88 potential. Not too bad at all. Ooh, Harry Cortez is a closer. He only has 79 potential, but he's an 81 out of the draft. These type of players are really weird when they have like a potential that's only like C, but they're already like an 81, which is really good. So this guy's definitely MLB ready out of the gate, but his potential kind of hurts him a bit, that he's going to just drop off maybe faster than expected. So that's kind of interesting. Shout out to Thurman Compton. What a name. The Nationals, Tyson Saucedo is fantastic. 63 at 18, 95 potential, so good steal there for the Nationals. Ricky Potter, the brother of Harry Potter, no, I'm joking, isn't very good. Alexis Cruz is a right fielder. Has potential, but he's a little bit low overall for a 21-year-old. The Cubs, the Cubs might have had one of the worst drafts we've seen so far, because their first selection, Christopher Hanley, was pretty bad. He has have an okay starting overall for an 18-year-old, but he doesn't have a high ceiling. And same goes with Julio Castillo. They did also draft a guy named Elmo, but Elmo is not very good. So unfortunately, he's going back to Sesame Street, because he's not going to get very much playing time probably at the major league level. The Reds, Everett Meredith is pretty good. 65 at 18 is fantastic. 89 potential, yeah, it's a really good steal. Ramon Valdez is solid as well as a starting pitcher. Looks like the Reds had a good draft. Tom Gunn is also decent, but he is 23 years old already. Rodney Butner is pretty good. Yeah, solid draft. It looks like even Cash Grant's Gant is a good starting overall. 72 at 18, and he was that late of a pick. Yeah, the Reds are pretty good, which is not great. Bob Park, not very good. Luca Hernandez is good. But looks like the Brewers had a little bit of a rough draft. Didn't sign a bunch of their prospects, too. The Pirates, Henry Sosa is kind of not great. He's a 65 at 19, 80 potential, so he is going to be useful, but not the most insane player. I don't remember when they were drafting. I think it was actually mid-first round. It was like 17th, if I remember right. Other than that, 74 overall for this guy. That's a pretty good one, but not a high ceiling. The Cardinals, Derek Lopez, the guy that has a weird spelling of Derek. He looks pretty good in terms of overall, but not in terms of potential. Doyle Corona is a solid steal, a little bit low overall. And Billy Fisher was maybe one of the worst prospects we've seen so far in the series. Has very good velocity as a relief pitcher, though, but he's a deep potential and he's only a 47. Yikes. The Diamondbacks, Shane Lane, solid. Some other players are solid as well, like Fernandez. Sammy Newcomb's not too bad either. He's actually pretty good. He's just a little bit low for an 18-year-old, but he'll develop for sure, but just take a long time. The Rockies, Rivas was a terrible pick, which is nice considering they're in our division. Or actually, they're not in our division. They're one of the better teams in the league, so that will definitely hurt them maybe in the long run, but that's one of the worst first-round picks I think I've seen. Dan Raburn. He's 22 already. What else we got here? The Dodgers. Castaneda's solid. Ross Cruz is really good. Holy crap. There were some good closers this year. Ross Cruz is an 81 at 21 with B potential, which is an 89 potential. So another guy that's a high overall of the draft for the closers. There was at least 2 of them. So that's pretty insane. Schnell, rest of them not too crazy. The Padres, yeah, Ed Tachiki was a beast. He was a beast. He doesn't have A potential, which is interesting. But a 67 at 18 is fantastic with that 89 potential. Like, look at that contact numbers. Like, I wish we would have gotten this. This is the player that we were looking for all these years, I feel like. But we didn't get him. Damn. Yeah, he's so good. That really sucks. If only he would have fallen a couple more spots down. That sucks. That's going to be like the biggest what if in the series, I feel like. Barack Lucy is also pretty solid, but he is a low overall for 21-year-old. Okay, so the Padres did okay. It looks like the Giants did pretty terrible. Alonso Lugo was the 2nd overall selection, and he is also not very good. So some of the teams that drafted before us were not good. Tachiki should have been the 1st overall pick based on some of the things we've seen. Corey Sandoval, pretty solid overall, but 23 already. Rico Valencia is really good. That's a fantastic closer as well. 73 at 18 with A potential, 94 potential to be exact. 3 really good closers in this draft. So, unfortunately, we didn't have any need for any closers. Especially, there was no Asian ones too. Darren Gonzalez, not a bad selection there for the Red Sox. Ivan Luis, not bad, but 22 already. Charlton Lopez is a good steal. Some other okay players, it looks like, there for the Red Sox. The Yankees, James Jackson was pretty bad. Another first rounder that was D potential, so We might have actually had one of the better drafts based on some of these other teams, because James Jackson is not a major league player at any stretch. So that's a pretty big woof. And Arturo Tejada is okay, but everybody else they drafted was not good. And then some of them didn't sign. So the Yankees having a bit of a tough time. The Rays, Leo Cosmo is not bad. Adrian Ramirez is an 80 overall as a shortstop with only 82 potential, but that's amazing steal. Great power hitter already out of the draft. Wow. That would have been nice if he was Asian. Wow. Okay, so shout out to Tampa Bay. They just got a really good player there. What else? Bennett's also a good starting overall, but has no potential. Looks like the Rays had a pretty solid draft for the most part. Seth Frazier is also a solid steal, but low overall for an 18-year-old, but obviously he could develop. The Toronto Blue Jays, Derek Miley's okay. But it looks like for the most part they didn't have a crazy draft. Hank Ricks, not bad. Kind of an interesting name too. And then Brian Cho, who was the other guy we were looking at potentially drafting, he was not very good. He also had C potentials of 58 at 18, which ain't too bad, but he only has that 73 potential. So he would have been probably somebody else we would have drafted for sure, but I don't know if he would have been much better than what we already have. So there is his pick. Then the White Sox could not sign 3 straight prospects. That's crazy. And then they signed these last few guys, and they're all pretty bad. They have actually some solid starting overalls, though, like Escobar's a 71. So it's not too bad, I guess. The Guardians, Guillermo Tejada's good. 73 at 18, 87 potential. Gary Kilgore is also not too bad, a little bit low, but still. So there's the Guardians. Then the Tigers, Frank Muser, one of the catchers that won in the first round. He's got a good starting overall, not a high potential, but he's got good contact hitting, so he's going to be decent. John Freehan is a shortstop. Low overall, but a good potential. He's a good steal there. Philip Jameson, not bad. Eric Figueroa. Looks like the Tigers had an okay draft. All right. Kansas City, Mitch Haley is really good starting overall for an 18-year-old. So, yeah, Mitch Haley's decent. Leon Hairston, also not too bad. David Sanchez is good. Chris Sanchez ain't, though. They have 2 Sanchez's. That's kind of funny. Rich Thrasher. Jeez, Rich Thrasher. So, like Ilya Kovalchuk from the NHL. No, I'm joking. 52 out of 21, 88 potential. And then the Twins. They didn't sign their first rounder, Dino Aquino, who had one of the best names in that first round. But there are other players that they did sign were pretty solid, like Holton. Vogelsang has potential. Lee Landis has potential, but he's a little low. Yeah, they had an okay draft. And in Houston, that's in our division, Nixon Hamill, the last pick of the first round, was pretty solid. Of course, he was solid. Ike Fishman, it's not too bad either. All right. And then we have the Angels, who didn't sign their first rounder, Jeff Gaudio. They also didn't sign their second rounder, Ramon Vargas. They had a really rough draft. They didn't sign 4 of the 6 prospects, and the ones they did sign weren't very good. So, in general, I think we had an okay draft considering some of the other teams had way worse drafts with their first round selections. So, was happy with Richie Chen, but obviously it would have been nicer to have Tachiki. So there is that. Final few things we got to do to wrap up this episode. Let's take an updated look at our MLB player stats and actually see how William A. Bike's doing in AA since we sent him down. And then that'll be it for this episode because I do got to pre-record 3 episodes after this, and obviously I don't want to lose my voice too much, but I do want to take a look at how William A. Bike has adjusted. Oh my goodness. Since getting sent down to AA, he's struggling still. His average is a 206, which is better than AAA, but he's still having a rough time with the contact department. How about Chang Ho Chu in triple? He has been pretty damn good. Batting a 266 in AAA. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of William A. Bayek. He's been kind of weird so far. But in terms of our MLB player stats, let's take a look at what we got so far. So, Iwamura's still been very good. Stan Nguyen has been a little bit cold apparently as of late, but he is still playing good. Walter Jung still a mixed bag. Vincent Tan's been solid, but a little bit of a mixed bag. Kaz has still been insane. He's 9-1 with a good record in ERA, good whip. He's been fantastic. No wonder he made the All-Star game. So there's the starters, the relievers. Cho's been good. Sato has kind of struggled a bit. He has 1 game, though. Yamamoto's kind of struggled. Yamashida's been good. David Na's kind of struggled. Philip Chung's actually been not too bad. He's up to an 88. How the heck did he grow to an 88 this year? Damn. Wow, we're going to have to pay him some big bucks soon if we want. And then Tom Koo has been kind of a mixed bag. How much blown saves? 6 blown saves. Not too good. Alright, so pitching's been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of the bullpen. What about the batting? Yamazaki on a 241. Yokoyama at 281. Sato at 276. Tom Lee at 257. Theodore Lee at 272. I love to see that. Seo at 258. Nomo at 251. William Chung at 247, so it's dropped down a bit since being put in as a starter. And Stanley Oka at 269. So our batting average actually hasn't been looking that bad in terms of most of the guys. Because the only one that's below at 250, we have William Chung. Nomo is just above it. Like, we don't have a ton of players below at 250, and then also Yamazaki. So that's not terrible. Not too bad. One thing that we got to take a look at is the standings update as well. So we are still second place in the AL West, 2.5 games back of the Astros. And we are still in that wild card department. So, we could be still playoff bound next episode, which is interesting. Where are we in terms of team rankings at the moment? We have fallen down from third place down to... Wait, did I see us already? No, we definitely... actually, that's batting average. That's why we're down there. I was like, what the shit? We have fallen down to 8th place. It's not bad still, but obviously that's going to make our playoff run potentially less if we do make it to the postseason. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode. So reminder just again, the next 3 episodes will be pre-recorded. So you can still drop your thoughts and stuff below, because obviously I'll look into those and I'll reply to you guys and all that stuff while I'm on vacation. But just a little heads up that obviously I'm going to have to make some decisions and stuff like that with September call-ups and stuff like that. I'm hoping this team still makes it to the playoffs as a wildcard team just so we can get some experience under our belt. But obviously we have been falling off a little bit as of late, so I'm hoping that we don't fall off more than this. Because obviously getting our first playoff berth would be quite the story. So let me guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.